Hello, darling viewers. Today I'm going to be doing a video request. I was asked by a viewer to discuss dealing with feelings of loneliness and also dealing with the shame that we have around being lonely. And obviously this is a subject I know a lot about because I'm very lonely a lot of the time. And, you know, I've learned to not be ashamed of it because I honestly think most people are lonely. At least most people that I want to associate with anyway. Sure, there are people that aren't lonely, but those are the type of people generally that they're not that deep, so they're not that interesting to me. They're not the sort of people who I give much time to. If you are in any way nonconformist or intelligent, you're going to be dealing with these problems because your ability to see things as they are puts you at odds. And not only to see things as they are, let me rephrase that, it's not only the seeing, it's the being willing to name things as they are that will put you very much at odds with a lot of people. And it's a very hard thing to deal with. Social isolation is a real thing you'll struggle with. And it's something that I struggle with for sure. I don't know that it's as much of a struggle anymore. It's just something that you accept, and sometimes you're just very sad that that's okay too. I wanted to share with you a quote. I posted this on my Instagram. Let's see if I can find a date here. October 2nd. This is from Marilyn French, and I don't know what it's from exactly, so whatever's that, but I'm going to read you it. Loneliness is not a longing for company, it is a longing for kind. And kind means people who can see you, who you are, and that means they have enough intelligence and sensitivity and patience to do that. So, with that in mind, you know, I want to make the distinction between having company and having kind, because we don't crave company. We're not lonely because we're not interacting with people. You know, I interact with people constantly. It's the fact that I don't interact with many people who are willing to go beneath the surface with me and or are willing to actually be interested in anything about me. You know, that's the majority of my human interactions. They're very surface, they're very just so boring, so passionless. So they, you know, the majority of people that interact with me have no fucking idea, like, who I am or what I'm about. And that's fine, you know, because that's capitalism, that's the way it is, that's what you have to do to work, that's the way you have to, like, survive in the system. You hide things about yourself. People don't want to have, like, you know, I find even people who I've attempted to kind of go beneath the surface with, a lot of the time they just clam up. They have no fucking response. They have no desire to go there. And even if you thought they were great, and you're like, oh, I'm going to extend myself here and, like, get to know you, and it's just, like, a fucking disaster, usually. It's like, wow, I just admitted the wrong thing to the wrong person. And we're not even talking, like, political stuff either. We're talking, like, you know, facts about life. I don't know. Again, I think a big part of it is that in terms of the institutions that we have to interact with as people, again, a lot of them are run. And I've been writing about this a lot lately. And I will be publishing this work about class that I've been doing. But specifically, again, I want to mention, you know, the institutions that we're up against, these are bourgeois institutions, and they're managed by middle-class people, and middle-class people are not very deep. And I'm not saying that's because, you know, and I'm not saying that, like, they aren't deep. Let me rephrase that, but their culture isn't very deep, and they don't relate to each other in very deep ways. You know, those that do tend to be like far more intelligent, and they tend to be able to extend themselves in that way. And they also dislike the ways in which our institutions that we exist in run. But the culture itself is very cold and very surface, and, you know, conversations are run on preferences about such banal things like the fucking weather, or, you know, what sort of music you like. And believe me, I love music, so that is always so interesting to me, because that's a whole fucking crapshoot there. And people are like, what kind of music do you like? And I'm like, great, so we can have another conversation about why I'm a freak. Good, that's great. That sounds like fun for me. Maybe I'm just complaining here in this video. I'm supposed to be giving you advice. Having yourself, I think, is the biggest thing that you can have. Enjoying being with yourself is a big thing. And being willing to, you know, be alone a lot of the time, I find, is so helpful. The hours and the times when I get to be by myself and I get to be just free in that way, those are actually times when I feel not lonely. It's when I have to be with people that don't understand me or appreciate or even care to. That's when I feel lonely. So I would suggest getting that free space and that alone time to be just yourself, and to be in that space where you accept yourself. Because once you have that, and once you have a routine with that, it makes it a lot easier to weather the bullshit. It really does. I also suggest that you try to be deep with people, and freak them out if you have to, you know, but like, you'd be surprised who is deep, you know. If anybody talks to you about maybe somebody close to them being dead, there's an in usually. You can usually find, if somebody's processed death, that they can be deeper. So, you know, look for people like that. Connect with people who've dealt with death. I find or illness. Anybody who has an illness, generally a lot deeper. Anybody who's very clearly dealing with something that isn't roses, you know, which everybody has. But, you know, there are certain things that are so, you know, dark or whatever in this culture that we're not supposed to talk about them, except for, again, in very placid and surface ways. You know, God, when my father died, the amount of just idiocy. And I'm not trying to fault people for trying to be whatever, you know, people don't really know how to deal with this stuff, but God, it's so fucked, you know. And even still, people are very stupid about that subject. Some people aren't, and if they're not stupid, I generally just, like, am so enamored with them. You know, those can be ins, and you'll be very surprised. You have to put away your own prejudices as well when dealing with people. You know, you often will find that people will surprise you who's deep and who's not. It will surprise you. You may be very fucking surprised. You know, so be willing to go outside of your comfort zone and talk to people that you wouldn't normally talk to. Like, I don't know, recently I've gotten a lot of emotional support from a couple of, like, young gay men that I know. I don't normally associate with men at all, but the fact that they would even extend themselves and listen to me and even express concern or care for me, wow. I've had many feminists who won't do that. They're supposed to be my friends. So, yeah. You'd be very fucking surprised who you'll meet. You know, don't be surface about things if you're looking for a connection with people. Don't And also don't think that because you've gone deep with people and that they see who you are, that they're your friends either. You know, that can be a thing too to kind of be careful about. Friendship is a continued committal to do that. And just because somebody will do that once or twice doesn't mean they're your friend either. You know, it doesn't mean that they'll continue to, because again, it's hard for a lot of people to go there. It's hard for a lot of people to be that way. And definitely nothing in the culture says that they should. You know, everything is reinforcing being superficial. So, you know, I think be able to give yourself the validation that you need for the way you are. And, you know, fill those times and the spaces, you know, of, you know, your aloneness with just total acceptance of yourself and total acceptance of your way of being. And from there you will find that you can weather all of the superficiality and just boring fucking culture that we live in, and the stupidity. And just be very careful about, you know, having that time. A big problem for me as well is that I've had to live in close quarters for the past few years with somebody who doesn't understand me at all, doesn't like the way I am, and, you know, getting that alone time has been difficult, you know, and a big part of, like, there are a lot of things, and I'm writing about this as well, this whole relationship that I've been through the past few years, because there's a lot of things in it that I think are going to be helpful to lesbians and lesbian feminists specifically, you know, after all is said and done. But, you know, it's difficult. So, God, be very careful about who you choose to spend your time with and who you live with, because, you know, I would prefer to just live with someone who, you know, maybe was like, you know, operated in that kind of way where it was like superficial, but we, you know, didn't have to get into these ways of being where, like, the way you are is wrong, because that is just so harmful. So if you have anybody in your life like that that's doing that to you, be sure to get away from them, you know, when you can, and to establish your own space, and to also get outside and commune with nature and the trees. Again, like, that's a big thing. You'll realize you're not alone. You're part of an ecosystem. You're part of the world. You're never really alone. I mean, that's another thing for me too, being able to talk with and to communicate, I guess, with spirits has helped me a lot as well. In many desperate hours, I've been comforted by that, and the ability of these beings to bear witness to what I go through and to give me advice. That's helpful. That's helpful. Or to tell me when my thinking is fucked up as well. Yeah, that's all very helpful. So if you're at all spiritual or magical in some way, like, and you have spirit friends or, you know, a team, reaching out in that way too can help relieve loneliness, because they have a totally different perspective on our reality than we do, you know. They don't understand why we're in so much anguish a lot of the time, because it's just like, to them, they're like, well, look at all you can do. And we struggle so much here, but I guess, like, they have the wonder about it that you lack. So getting a different perspective is good. Also, I mean, if you can't communicate with spirits per se, or you think you can't anyway, I would suggest, again, divination tools can be another good thing. Tarot has helped me through a lot of feelings of not just loneliness, but, you know, inability to cope, you know, with my lot. It's given me new perspectives. Anything that can give you a new perspective And also, like, don't be afraid to, like, look for people as well. You might join, like, sites dedicated to getting friends and going out and, like, making it very clear off the bat, you don't want to be superficial. You don't want to have those kind of conversations. You don't want to be around those kind of people. There are people out there that are looking for that, you know, and will respond positively. So that's all possible, too. It's not impossible. Just be open and be aware that things will often come to you, support and the kind of connection that you need may come to you in forms that you don't expect. But like, you know, every human being can serve that kind of, serve to be that conduit through which your loneliness is assuaged. But, you know, also don't view people as that either, you know. Don't be with people just to, you know, not be lonely. Because again, that's objectification and that's wrong as well. So just, you know, all of that's all my advice, I guess, about this subject. And hopefully it's helpful to some of you out there that are dealing with that. That's just how I've dealt with it. And yeah, take care. Until next time, goodbye.